Did you know that every year 1.5 million animals are euthanized in shelters? Adopting an animal from the pet shelter is a much better option because you save a life, help with the overpopulation problems of animals, and adopting is more economical for you and the animal. First, adoption saves lives, and also adoption helps prevent the overpopulation of animals in future generations. And finally, the impact of adoption is better than buying. I got all of my information from Zodus.com, AmericanHumane.org, and VetStreet.com. First, adopting from a shelter saves lives. From Zodus.com, adoption offers large numbers of healthy animals and a larger selection than most breeders would offer. Breeders actually can't guarantee to you the health of an animal very early on in the puppy's life. When you buy a shelter animal, they can actually show how old this animal is and their vet records from their entire life. When you get an animal from a shelter, you're more likely to get an animal that's been spayed and neutered. Later on, this will feed into helping the overpopulation problem since they are unable to reproduce and put more of their offspring into the world. Rescuing pets saves the life not only the pet, but some human owners also agree on the fact that rescuing a pet saved their life. Sometimes they feel lonely enough, and when they get a pet, they're brought another joy in something that they weren't feeling before. Along with saving a life, this is a reiteration of one of my earlier points, along with saving a life, taking a pet out of the shelter, not only does that animal go to a good home, not get euthanized, it saved a life and it helps with the animal overpopulation problem. And although it may seem far-fetched, paying a small fee to adopt a pet actually lowers the cost and overpopulation later on. When people choose a shelter pet, breeders have less demand to create puppies. And when breeders create less puppies, they have less of a chance to put out more animals that are going to end up in shelters later on and create more of an overpopulation issue with the animals. Along with less demand for breeders, pre-spayed and neuter animals help with overpopulation since they're unable to reproduce. And this is from AmericanHumane.org. Prior research studies suggest that 7 to 20% of pets entering a home are no longer in that home 6 months after acquisition. Just 6 months. These animals often end up at shelters, contributing to the pet overpopulation issue, end quote. In addition to helping the overpopulation problem, adoption is much more economical for the consumer and the pet. Finally, adoption is much cheaper in the beginning and the end of the process. Along with cheaper rehoming fees, VetStreet.com states that adopting a trained dog becomes cheaper in the long run. Most animals in shelters, i.e. dogs and cats, are way past their puppy and kitten stage, so they lead to cheaper food options since they're not formulated for puppies and less damage cost because we all know puppies are known to tear up things. Choosing a shelter also gives you a better range of age and breed of your pet. Finally, when you choose a shelter animal, you choose a more economical option to expensive breeder animals that might have worse health problems later on than cheaper shelter pets. At first, we discussed how adopting animals saves lives, and then we discussed the ability of you being able to change the animal overpopulation problem. Then we talked about the impact of adopting rather than buying and how it is a more economical use. Next time you want to welcome a new pet into your family, be responsible and look at your local shelters first. You can make a difference.